Let's talk about gap analysis and zero trust, which is basically cybersecurity's way of asking two very important questions. Where are we right now, and who do we actually trust? Gap analysis helps an organization compare its current security posture to its desired security posture so it can see what controls are missing, weak, or outdated. While zero trust is the mindset that no user, device, or system is automatically trusted, even if it's already inside the network, kind of like checking ID at every door, not just at the front gate. In cybersecurity, gap analysis works by comparing the current state of security controls, policies, technologies, and training to the desired state based on best practices, regulations, and risk tolerance, then identifying the gaps and creating actionable plans to close them. The four main parts are the current state, the desired state, gap identification, and actionable insights such as prioritizing risks, updating controls, improving policies, and strengthening training. On the exam, when a scenario describes comparing existing controls to a security framework and building a remediation plan, the correct concept is gap analysis, because you are measuring the distance between where we are and where we need to be. Zero trust is a security philosophy built on the idea of never trust, always verify, meaning access is not granted based on location or being inside the network, but on continuous verification of identity, device health, and context, with only the minimum required access allowed. Instead of relying on implicit trust zones, zero trust uses adaptive identity, policy-driven access control, and threat scope reduction so every request is evaluated. A typical CompTIA scenario might describe a user who must re-authenticate or meet extra checks when accessing sensitive data even from inside the organization, and the correct answer is zero trust network access. The control plane in zero trust is the decision-making brain that manages policies, identity verification, and access decisions. It uses components like the policy engine, policy administrator, identity and access management, and monitoring systems to apply context-aware and policy-driven access control. On the exam, when a question mentions dynamic authorization, adaptive authentication, or decisions based on who the subject is, what system they want, and under what conditions, the correct concept is the control plane. The data plane is where those decisions are enforced. It acts through the policy enforcement point to allow or deny traffic, segment the network, encrypt communications, limit lateral movement, and apply least privilege. In a CompTIA-style scenario where access is restricted, traffic is isolated, and users can only reach specific resources for a limited time, the correct concept is the data plane enforcing zero trust policies. Zero trust is considered a journey rather than a destination because it requires continuous monitoring, reassessment, and improvement as users, devices, threats, and business needs change. On the exam, when a scenario emphasizes ongoing evaluation and adaptation rather than a one-time setup, the correct understanding is that zero trust is an ongoing process. The key takeaway is that gap analysis shows where security controls fall short and zero trust ensures every access request is continuously verified and limited. And if this helped you understand today's topic, consider liking and subscribing for more cybersecurity lessons like this.